Chioma Essie, research log, the Veil. I don't even know where to start. When we landed on Neptune, there was something waiting for us. An alien structure. It's an electromagnetic anomaly. No mass, but a tangible surface area. It's like a thesis statement to the von Neumann-Wigner hypothesis. It's definitely paracausal, like the Traveler. Maya calls it the Veil. She says she heard the name in a whisper when she looked at it. When I asked her who whispered, she said it was her own voice. I still haven't had time to process that. Everyone on the initial survey team died. The minute they touched the object, they entered a state of brain death. All of them. To make it worse, the EM radiation emitting from the Veil is causing psychological distress in the exos that came with us. They've all described moments of intense, hallucinogenic reverie. Some of them went silent and rigid and just stopped. Maya called it billboarding. Something from the early days of Clovis Bray's Exomind project. She doesn't seem afraid or surprised. She's convinced this thing, in her own words, she says, it'll be our salvation.
Fascinating. This corroborates what Nezarec said, that the Veil survived Savathun's escapade. This must have been the root of Savathun's betrayal, stalling the witness's plan to buy time to counter it.
So, she stole the Veil from Nezarec?
And killed him in doing so. It explains what happened to the Lunar Pyramid, why it's dormant.
Then what about the rest of this? What happened to the Exos? Is that what happened to all of them?
I have some theories, but it's too early. Regardless, it sounds like the Veil had an ill effect on Dr. Sandaresh. We must be cautious. Hopefully the next log we decrypt will shed more light on this enigma.
Chioma Essie, research log, the Veil. We shouldn't settle here. It's a mistake. But Maya is insistent that we have to build our long-term shelters near the Veil. We're almost done constructing an enclosure around it. Once the field emitters are up, we should at least be safe from its radiation. The Siva tech Maya had on the Exodus was a lifesaver. Not only for building the enclosure, but shelters, tools. We'd be dead without it. But it still wasn't fast enough. The last XO in our group succumbed to brain death yesterday. Maya's quarantined the bodies for study. She says our next step should be finding a way to draw power from the Veil so we're self-sufficient. I'm insisting on turbines instead. But she doesn't think that's good enough. Not for as long term as this might be. Which, I guess. But I can't shake this feeling. Like we're making a terrible mistake.
I'm not getting a good vibe from this. Quinn says these records contradict some of her own. But there's a ton of references to Maya Sundaresh in our archives that are redacted. I'm worried, Osiris. What if everything we've been told our whole lives? What if it was all a lie?
Don't despair yet, young friend. The truth may be somewhere between these logs and what you've been told in the past. In my experience, history can be contradictory. Regardless, we won't know until we decrypt more of these logs.
Chioma Essie, incident log, the Vex.
Interesting.
6 weeks ago, our settlement came under attack by an intrusion of Vex forces. It was a test of our defenses for a larger incursion. Yesterday, scouts discovered temporarily realigned architecture just outside the stronghold limits. The Vex had retroactively inserted themselves into Neptune's history, just like they did on Venus. But unlike Venus, something stopped them short of our habitat. They had to fight their way in. I think it's the Veil. Something about the paracausal nature of the Veil is preventing their temporal excursions. But the Vex aren't giving up. They did something to Neptune's magnetic field. Wove a SIM into it. A screen to isolate us. It's a double-edged sword. The Vex screen hides us from the outside world, from whatever's happened. So we're safe. Ish. But we're stuck with the Vex. Thankfully, they're slow to react, and it's giving us time to research countermeasures. It's almost our anniversary. I should do something for Maya. She'll forget. She's always so busy. Computer, prepare food synthesis. File, Geoma date night 6. Oh, and add a bottle of port.
Osiris? You alright?
Yes, I'm fine. I just, saw shadows. My choices. Saint. Dr. Sandaresh and I walked very similar paths of obsession, it seems.
Oh,
Nevertheless, it appears that Neomuna's history is deeply tied to the Vex. Hopefully the next decryption will shed more light on this.
Geoma Essie. Research log. Exos. Maya and I have built a working theory around the deaths of our Exo crewmates after their exposure to the Veil. According to Maya, Exo minds contain a combination of Vex radiolaria and something known as clarity. Radiolaria are alien microorganisms living within a hive mind state. Or, I suppose more accurately, a community. Clarity is, Maya described it as a paracausal power derived from an alien artifact. Something Braytech had kept secret. Something Maya thinks the Veil and this artifact are related. That the paracausal force from the Veil overloaded their exominds. Unraveled them. It's like taking a powerful magnet to an archaic magnetic storage device. Full erasure. But Maya, she thinks we can reverse engineer this phenomenon. Use it to write data to a clarity-infused object. Fabricate consciousness. Scientifically, the process seems sound, but morally... Maya keeps saying that we're past the point of morality. She said that. She's convinced that our survival hinges on mastery of the Veil. It's like she's the one unraveling. I feel like I'm losing her. But every time I try and push, I feel her move a little further away. I don't know if I can lose anything else. How much more can any of us lose before there's nothing left?
Nimbus, how much do you know about the Cloud Strider's creation? The technology used?
you don't think...
I make no assertions yet. But I worry that your neon-lit city may have darker roots than either of us knew.
Oh,
Geoma Essie. Research log. SIVA. SIVA is a nanotech fabrication system, intended to be used by Exodus ships to rapidly build necessary resources from base matter. Maya calls it Willa Bray's obsession, without a hint of self-awareness. But we both see the potential it poses for the future. Each nanomachine in SIVA's design is an independent, thinking machine, utilizing a distributed quantum network to coordinate movement. Like a mechanical version of Radiolaria. Probably where the design was inspired from, if I'm being honest. But the design can be pushed. We're looking at ways of incorporating components from disabled Vex and erased exominds. If we can insulate the nanomachines from the radiation that killed the Exos, maybe their deaths won't be for nothing.
wait. Does this really mean I'm part Vex?
Well, it's too early to jump to these conclusions, Nimbus. But there does seem to be some connection between the Vex and the Cloud Striders. It may explain why you and the others are able to enter the Vex network without the aid of splicers.
Can I time travel?
No, let's hope not.
Chioma Essie. Research log. Veil interface. Maya and I have finalized a prototype interface for the Veil. Hopefully it'll allow our research team to investigate it in detail. The system's designed like an orchestra, with a central conductor directing a symphony of minds to act like a distributed network. The idea came to us by watching how collective networks like SIVA and the Vex operate. The hope is we can aggregate and pass the vast amounts of psychic data emitting from the Veil, turn it into something intelligible. If we're successful, the interface will provide us with a starting point for any future technological research tied to the Veil. The risks of such integration are high. The estimated mortality rates are... But I don't know what I'm doing. This is wrong. This is so wrong. We shouldn't... All she ever talks about is survival. Think big picture. What about your survival? What about your heart? My heart? I can't keep doing this. I can't. I can't.
Again, I see a shadow of myself in Maya Sandarish. The man I could have become had I let obsession continue to rule me. I'm worried what the next recording will reveal.
Me too.
Chioma Essie. Research log. Veil interface. Supplemental. They're all dead. Chorus. Conductor. Everyone. It was too much. Swept their minds away like grains of sand on a beach. They're all dead. Maya called it valuable data points. Well springs and rivers are something. What have I done?
Did. This killed their entire research team, but it sounds like... It's like...
Like their lives held no value to Dr. Sandarish. There's a troubling symmetry with data we've recovered from Titan. Data on the origin of the Witness. It too was once multiple people that became conjoined by the way of some sort of ritual with the Veil. Perhaps a conductor and a chorus. It is troubling that Dr. Sandarish seemed to be moving down that same path.
I don't like this, Osiris. I don't like this at all.